This video will demonstrate how to record a voiceover and also to make some comments about the editing. Before we get into this section though, I found when I was doing this myself that to get the very best results, I needed to perform a few extra steps. And these extra steps are not on your task sheet, but I'll make sure that they're on the Teams page for you to follow if you want to. It's not completely necessary to do these extra steps, but if you do want the best results, I found that this is the best way to do it. So we'll go through these extra steps first, and then we'll go into the actual instructions on the task sheet. So for these extra steps, what we're going to do is, first of all, in our timeline, we're going to just increase the length of the still shots of the character analysis and the still shot of the mise-en-scène analysis. So depending on how you've done this, you'll have to try a few different ways to extend them, but I'll show you both the different ways here. So we're going to select, first of all, selecting the character analysis, just the clip, the still image, and I've got the two ripple editing functions on. So that means that when I extend this clip, I'm going to extend it to about 15 seconds. Everything else will move along on the timeline with it. But now I'm going to turn that ripple editing function off so that now I can also extend the labels. And when I extend the labels to also be the same length, I don't want everything else to move along the timeline as well. So that's why I've turned the ripple editing function off, because when I'm extending these labels that I've created to analyze the character, I just want those to expand or extend and not affect anything else in the timeline. Okay, so that's my character analysis, and I'll do the same thing for my mise-en-scène analysis. And my mise-en-scène analysis is just a still image with the labels actually on the still image themselves. So that was one of the options of doing this part of the task, and that makes extending it very easy because I'm going to turn the ripple editing back on, and I'm going to extend it until it's about 15 seconds long as well. Okay, and that just allows me to, in the voiceover, be able to explain all the labels without needing to rush through them. So I found that 10 seconds wasn't quite enough to do it without sounding very, very rushed. So save that. And now what we're going to do to get the very best results again is to export the video as it is right now. So to export a video, we're going to click on Export. And then down here, you click on Export again, and you're prompted to give it a name. So you can name this one Video Critique Export 1. And you can see I've already done this, so I've already got a file by that same name. So I'm not going to do it right now, but when you do it and press Save, what will happen is that up here in this panel, it will give you a progress report. So it'll do it by percentage. So it'll start off at 0%, and over the course of a couple of minutes, it will slowly go up to 100% complete. And once it's complete, you get this green tick here that indicates that your video has exported successfully. So once that's happened and you've got the green tick there, you can actually make sure that this is all saved, and you can actually close this project. So just click close there. And we're going to now create a new project, and we're going to call this one Video Critique with VoiceOver, and hit start. Open up the playlist, and now we're going to drag in that video that you just exported, Video Critique Export 1. And so now this is a single video that has got all of your labels on it without needing the multiple video tracks. So what this enables us to do is when we record the voiceover, it's going to play a little bit more smoothly. So I found when I was recording the voiceover, on the video project with multiple video tracks, it was very, very laggy, and it didn't record very good audio. So by doing it like this, it's a little bit easier on our laptops. So that's the end of the extra steps, and now we'll move into the actual steps that are on the task sheet. So we're going to use Shotcut's voiceover function to record a voiceover in which you read the labels you've included for shots, music, character, and mise-en-scène. In your voiceover, also make a comment about the editing's pace and rhythm. So let's try that. So we're going to go to Shotcut, and I'm going to just move everything along on the timeline until about 5 seconds. So that's going to give me just a little bit of time here at the start to get ready to start recording my voiceover. You're going to need to do this a couple of times before you get it right. And you're going to need to do it in a fairly quiet place. So if you can find a room, a small room, and close the door, and make sure that the room is not too echoey. So a room that's got carpet would be good, rather than a room with tiles, so that your voice is recorded nicely. So we're going to press record here, and after you do that, it's going to start to record a new audio track down here. And your voiceover will basically be you explaining or just even just reading out your labels. And if you can say anything else that you comes to mind, just to point out any other details about the section that you've chosen, you can put that into your voiceover as well. But we do need to make some sort of comment about the editing as well. And that's something that we don't have labels for. So just be ready to make some sort of comment about how fast it's been edited, and if there's a particular rhythm that's been established with the editing choices. So let's give this a go, and I'll see if I can get it right the first time. If not, I'm going to stop it and try it again until I do get it right. So I'm pressing a record. The clip begins with a really nice bit of music. The music is wondrous. There's a few really nice shots throughout this entire section, and as we go through this section, I'll point out a few of my favorite shots. So that's an example of a really interesting shot, but this one, especially a low angle medium shot, is a really interesting choice. The wondrous music continues as the character now walks towards the castle. This is a level panning right extreme long shot. What an interesting choice to record from through that archway. The music is now mysterious and it's a level medium shot. This shot gives us a really good look at the character. The music now changes to be suspenseful as we, the audience, are waiting to see what's going to happen. And a shot coming up here is one of my favorite shots in this section. I'm going to pause it so that we can look at the character. So in this image, we can see that the character is perfectly dressed, shows that she's not concerned about her appearance. She doesn't hesitate, that shows that she's brave and curious, and she calls out hello, which indicates that she's very friendly. So now the character walks into the scene. We have a level panning right extreme long shot, which is a really good shot to show us the entire set. There's an interesting shot here as well that I'll pause once again just to point out some of the details in the mise-en-scène. So we can see there's some mechanical devices which tells us that this is a factory. There's some cobwebs that can be seen that tells us this hasn't been used in a very long time. And some of the machines have a human-like characteristic, which tells us that the inventor who made this is a little bit eccentric. The music now becomes fearful. There's lots of different emotions expressed in the music in this section. This is a level medium shot, and soon it will change to an arc to long shot. So it's arcing around that statue there. And now it's a level trucking right and pedestal up long shot. And it cuts to this level extreme long shot, and the music becomes very dramatic at this point. There. And so I made a couple little stumbles there, but basically I've recorded the voiceover. I might, if I was aiming for perfection, I might do that one more time just to avoid a couple of times when I hesitated and stuttered over a few things, especially those labels that I was reading out. Had a little bit of difficulty reading those labels clearly. So what that's done is it's recorded the audio track. There's the audio track there, but it's not in the playlist, which isn't a big problem. It's actually saved it in the video critique folder. It should have anyway. Ah, here we are. So there's the voiceover saved in the location that this project is saved in. So I think it wouldn't be a bad idea just to import that voiceover in there as well. Because what you might need to do is just to you might want to delete it and then re-import, re-put it in the timeline for some reason. Okay, so let's just see what it sounds like. Even curious. And she calls out hello, which indicates that she is very friendly. So now the character walks into the. So I'm just testing it to see if there's a good balance between my voiceover and the sound of the actual clip, and it sounds fine. So I don't need to adjust it. But if you do need to adjust it, you'll click on your audio track, go to filters, add, and search for an audio filter called gain and volume. Gain and volume. And you can just use that to adjust the volume of your voiceover. So if you find that your voiceover is not loud enough, you just pull the volume up. But if you find that it's too loud, for instance, you might just like to pull it down a little bit. So I'm going to leave it as it is. So I'm going to get rid of that filter because it was fine. I'm going to save that at this point. So that's the end of that step, but I've just remembered that I didn't say anything about the editing, which means that I will have to record my voiceover again. And this time I've got to make sure that I find a section to make some sort of comment about the editing, and there was a few little pauses in the early section where I'll make some sort of comment about the slow pace of the editing. So just make sure you don't forget to make some sort of comment like that in your clip. So that will take us up to the end of this section, and there's really only one last thing to do, which will be next week, is to plan what you're going to say for an intro and an outro. And an option there will also be to create some title screens for your video. So let's get up to this section by the end of this week.